Hi everyone and welcome back to our discussion. So a small caveat I'll give about the version of the discussion that I'm going to do right now. It's very much a high-level overview of everything it is that we discuss. During the actual sessions, we spend a lot more time picking things apart, and we also sort of get information from the audience or the attendees that come. We hear their side of things, we hear the challenges that they're facing, and we give them more specific advice relating to the particular challenges that they're facing. So I would really encourage you to attend again, either in person or virtually, to get the full benefit of the discussion portion of the session. So the topic that we had for May, which was the first Saturday of this month, I believe that was the 4th of May, was knowing your business story. So lots of businesses have trouble really defining what their identity is. Who are you as a business, and does your business have a distinct identity? What's your story? Sort of knowing, concisely what is your 1-minute elevator pitch. For Start Smart, we can say that we are a business development platform targeted at supporting African businesses through our online financial management portal, through our weekly blog, through our publications, and through our management consulting services. We very clearly state to people who it is that we are and what it is that we're doing. We can also go ahead and add the problem that is that we're solving, which is improving financial and general business literacy in Africa. So from your perspective, for your specific business or your specific idea, you should have a clear story. You should be able to tell people who it is that you are, why you're distinct, what separates you from the competition, and what are you doing, so that when people hear your name, they know everything it is that you're about because they've heard of you. It's very clear what it is that you are doing. It's also important to figure out how you're communicating your story with the rest of the world. And that's not just about having clear, concise language. It's also looking at the various media through which you're sharing your message. Are you utilizing social media? Are you using word of mouth? Are you sending out emails? Are you sending out letters? Are you making phone calls to people? Are you using flyers? So sort of really figuring out, who am I as a business? What's my story? How do I present it to people? How do I get people to buy into what it is that I'm doing? How do you get people to buy into your mission, to your vision? How do you attract then customers to come to your business and buy things from you? And in the case of getting funding or attracting partners, how do you get them to buy into your idea or your business or your vision? So that's what the topic for May was really focused on, and we heard some really great stories and great input. So now I'm going to go through the topics for June through November. We are yet to have those sessions, so I'm really looking forward to the kind of feedback that we're going to get from people on those sessions. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 2 really great events organized for December. So we're not going to be holding our monthly deep dive then. You'll have to wait until January. But I look forward to having you attend the December events. We'll be sending out notifications via social media. And we will also be sending out emails. So if you are interested, please do send me an email or visit our homepage. Click on the events tab periodically to check and see what updates are available, or you can follow us on social media. When you go to our website, www.startsmartgh.com, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or find us on Google+. Recently, we launched our LinkedIn profile, so that will be available shortly on our website. You can also find us on Instagram, if you are a fan of Instagram and you're on the site, at StartSmartGH. Feel free to also tag us in your pictures. We'd love to see how you're running your business and the various things that you're doing with your business, and how we're able to support and help you in that respect. So moving on to the June topic, protecting your ideas. So an issue that a lot of business owners face is being able to protect their ideas, whether they are still in the idea phase or they've gone out to build out an actual product or service. So it's important to know how much you should share and who you should share it with. Lots of people have good intentions when you share your ideas with them. Others may not. They either may choose to discourage you when in fact you do have a really good idea on your hands, or they might take that idea and use it on their own without your permission or without giving you the due credit for it. So it's important to keep that in mind and know that when you are sharing information with somebody, is this information going to put your business at risk? And the answer is yes. have you gone ahead and filed a copyright? A copyright gives you sort of a legal ownership of a particular idea. If you go ahead and create something or file for something called a patent, that's more for actual tangible goods. But broadly speaking, it's intellectual property. Really saying, you know what, I want to take legal ownership of my product or my idea, so somebody has to seek permission from me before they use it. Now, in the midst of when you're having discussions with people, another popular thing that people have used to protect themselves and to protect their ideas are non-disclosure agreements. Now, the content of an agreement can vary based on who you're dealing with and what exactly it is you're dealing with. But basically, what non-disclosure agreements do are that they bind both parties to not sharing the discussions that they're having with anybody else. So those discussions can encompass emails that are exchanged, they can encompass information that's shared, they can encompass brainstorming sessions that you have with whoever this secondary or third party is. But what it really does is it protects those ideas and says, you know, you can't share these with anybody and you can't claim ownership with them of them afterwards. Now, with all of this in mind about protecting your ideas, about protecting your business, it's also important to remember, though, that you can benefit greatly from collaboration and partnerships. Having a different perspective, having a different set of skills help you to work on your idea can be extremely valuable. So don't feel that, you know, just because you have to protect yourself in these ways, that it's not valuable to collaborate or work with others. And again, when asking people to sign NDAs and whatnot, you should use your discretion. Present it in such a way that doesn't seem hostile and, you know, they are interested in working with you. At the same time, though, you know, don't take for granted the need to protect your ideas, whether it's friends, family that you're working with. I can't tell you the number of times that I've heard from people, I shared this idea with a friend or with a family member, and I turned around and they were doing the exact same thing. So please do keep that in mind and please do take it seriously. Moving on to the discussion topic for July, business and friendship. So this can be a very touchy subject. You know, we have friends and we get along really well together and we decide, you know, I'm running a business, why not bring my friends in on it? Well, there are things that you have to keep in mind when you're bringing friends in. For those who, you know, went to boarding school or even at the university level, they always warn you that when it comes to finding somebody to be roommates with, sometimes choosing your best friend can signal the end of that relationship. Now, it's not always the case, but it definitely helps you to reflect and really sit down and think about, you know, how are we going to interact with one another? How are we going to document these interactions? And how can we separate these business interactions from our friendship? So the first question that we chose to address here was figuring out whether or not business and friendship should mix and in what context. Again, you need to be able to draw clear lines about how it is that you're going to work with each other and how this will be separate from your friendship. And you also need to be able to determine what it is that this person is bringing to the table. You should assess your friends the same way you would assess any other employees or partners. Do they have something, whether it's a skill set, whether it's access to a particular network, whether it's financial resources? What are they bringing to your business, and how is it going to help you by having this friend of yours on board? Again, looking at your network and sort of how you can leverage that without affecting your friendships. Again, you know tangibly what you're asking people for, what the expectations are. Set those expectations early and really make it clear in your communications that, you know what, I know we're friends, that's why I reached out to you, but I have this professional request. These are my expectations of said professional request, so that everybody knows exactly what it is that they are getting into. And again, you want to be careful because the last thing you want to do is burn bridges, because that will destroy not just professional relationships, but also your personal ones. And then knowing when to charge friends and family for services and if they're entitled to discounts. Now, this is a tricky issue, and I will not say that I have the definitive answer to it. My answer will be it depends. You have to really use your discretion. I found those who have been able to make it work for them. To say, for example, you know, you're my friend, you're my family member, I'm going to charge you, but I'm going to throw in this other thing for free, or I'm going to add something else for you. Others have said that this hasn't worked for them, and they've had to either work with friends and family for free, or say to them, you know what, I don't have time for you right now, but I can make time later on. Now, again, it's a judgment call on your part, but it definitely involves setting those expectations very clearly up front. When you say to somebody, a friend or family member, that you can do work for them for free, let them know the quantity of work that's going to be done for them. If you're charging them, let them know the quantity of work that's being done for them on a chargeable basis and how much of it's being given out for free, so that they know what it is to expect from you and it doesn't become a matter of, well, just because you're doing it for free, you only give me half of the product. No, up front, very clearly, you state what it is that you're going to deliver to them and make sure that you do deliver on that. Moving to our discussion topic for August, paying attention to the company that you keep. So this is appropriate. We've talked about, working with your friends, your family, your network. But now, though, sort of looking at the associations that you're making and the impact that that can have on your business. You might think that you've gone out to happy hour somewhere at a bar or just gone to hang out with a group of people and it's not really a big deal. But people read into things, and they will read into your actions as a business owner, as a representative of your business, and assume certain things about sort of the culture of your business, about your beliefs, about the kind of person you are, based on who it is that you're hanging out with. The same thing at school. You might have hung out with a crowd of kids who were considered to be troublemakers, and whether you were a troublemaker or not, you would be grouped into that same general category. So in a business context, it's really important to think about who you associate yourself with, whether it's through casual networking or it's through partnerships in terms of getting work done. There's no harm in doing sort of digging into the people that you are associating with to make sure that you're preserving your reputation that you've worked so hard to build. Again, so the first question we addressed here was how your reputation or image affects your success as a business owner. Across the world, the answer would be a resounding yes. In Africa in particular, even more so because we place such a strong emphasis on personal relationships. Your hairdresser that you go to or your mechanic that you go to, it's all based on personal references. Your friend so-and-so or such and such a family member mentioned to you that this person was good at what they did, and that's why you went. So in such a society where, everything is so relationship-based, it is very important to make sure that you are managing that reputation and that image. Again, going back to the issue of partnerships and deciding what's right for you, looking at what this person is bringing to the table, what background do they have, what image do they have, what reputation do they have, and really figuring out, based on what your business is, based on what your concept is, how do all of these things align and how do all of these things fit and eventually benefit you. Now, if you feel that your business's image has suffered or you're not exactly portraying yourself the way you want to be portrayed, then you need to start thinking about how you want to reinvent your image. And the only way to do that is to go out and figure out, what exactly that public image is people have of you. And then you need to figure out what the future state is. What is it that you want your image to look like? What is it that you want your reputation to be? And then really sort of figuring out how you can build trust, how you can build credibility to bring you from that present state, not what you perceive the present state to be, but what those who you speak with perceive the present state of your reputation to be. And then figuring out, here's my future state and how am I going to bridge that gap and move on. It's not going to be an easy process, depending on how negative the reputation is or how long it's gone on for, but it is worth giving it a try. So moving on to our September discussion. Now, the foreign exchange market in your business. Many businesses in Africa have to deal with foreign exchange, whether it's through the importation of inputs for your business or importing the actual products and services that you're selling. You will have some encounters with foreign exchange at some point during your business career. In our case, on the African continent, unfortunately, several of our currencies are not very strong. So how do you then begin to account for these fluctuations in currency values and prevent it from really impacting your business? So what I know a number of businesses do is that they lock exchange rates into contracts. An example I'll give is in the development of the Start Smart website. So when we engage with the developer that we chose to eventually work with and who we still have a working relationship with, we locked in our exchange rate. We said to them, at this point in time, $1 is equal to 1.5 Ghana cedis. So for the duration of this contract, because we're going to be paying you in installments and we're not giving you all of the money up front, we expect that that exchange rate will carry through regardless of what happens in the currency market. Now, if the currency had appreciated, meaning the city had gotten stronger, and let's say the rate had dropped from $1 to 1.4 cities to 1.5 cities, to $1 is equal to 1 Ghana cedi, then the situation may have changed and we may have been at a disadvantage. But again, we had it locked into the contract. But living in Ghana, living in Africa more broadly, this is usually not the case. It's usually that the currencies are either stable or depreciating. So it works to your benefit to lock a particular exchange rate into your contracts, particularly if you're making payments over an extended period of time. So again, that's one of the ways in which you can protect your business, against currency fluctuations. Sorry about that. I don't know why that keeps popping up. Now, when it comes to charging customers in dollars, I have very strong opinions against it, but I understand why people choose to do it. I know many people choose to do it to protect their business because of the currency fluctuations, and if you import something and change the money back to dollars later on, you lose value. I, however, am strongly of the opinion that if you work or live in a particular country, and the example I'll use is Ghana, you should be operating in the currency that is that country's official currency. And again, building these kinds of exchange rate accommodations into whatever contracts you're setting up. So even in the case of real estate, if you set up that this is the exchange rate and we're charging you such and such an amount, you can always ensure that you're recovering whatever money it is you need to recover because you've locked that exchange rate into your contracts rather than going ahead and charging in different currencies, because essentially what that means is that somebody pays a different price for the same thing every single day, which I don't believe is necessarily fair. So moving on, but again, that's something that's, it's your personal preference and you sort of can play around with that as you see fit. Moving on to our discussion for October. So your side hustle. So this is for all of us out there who have, a primary job, but also have a business idea that we are working on. It's tradition on our continent for somebody to have a main business and have other business ideas that they're working on. It's not unusual. It's not an unheard of thing. But increasingly for young people, as those of us who are becoming business owners are younger and younger, we're realizing that we have to do some multitasking, and we really need to determine for ourselves, is this side business forever going to be a side business, or do we want to grow it into a full-blown venture? So the first question that we address in this session is, can you have your side hustle be a part-time thing, or do you really have to focus on it full-time? And again, it depends on, this will be determined by, the type of business that you're operating and the kind of support structures that you've set up for yourself. So if you run a business, for example, that is online and you have an e-commerce store and it's just about fulfilling orders, it may be that you can afford to just do it part-time on your own. You may need to hire people to help you fulfill those orders, but you may be able to do that. For other kinds of businesses, however, that require your presence, that may not be the best option or may not be the most viable alternative. So again, you really need to think about the type of business that you have and what support, if any, you have in place. Again, needing to focus full-time on your business for it to succeed, yes and no. Now, focusing on something full-time does not mean that you don't give it your full attention for the time that you are focusing on it. Meaning, if you devote 8 hours a day to your business, there should be 8 meaningful hours. You should be able to condense, everything that needs to be condensed into those 8 hours. So again, it depends on your ability to be able to do that and whether or not that's feasible for your particular type of business. And then the last part of our discussion for this particular session would be opening it up and seeing what kinds of businesses people are running on the side and hearing about their experiences. Now moving on to November, which is the last scheduled session for 2013 before our 2 wonderful events in December, talking about not just transplanting but adapting. And this really looks at sort of as business owners, really being able to understand our audience, understand the environment that we're operating in, and not just bringing ideas that we've heard about from the West and bringing them to Ghana. Because by and large, or bringing them to Africa. By and large, the ideas that we're bringing in are not completely original. You know, it's not rocket science. We're not reinventing the wheel. These are things that don't exist in Ghana, but we would like to come and bring to the continent to sort of see how we can benefit from them. So, particularly in the case, even if it is an original idea, but particularly when you're modifying an existing idea, you need to really understand the climate that you're working in. When we first started out with Start Smart, we thought we could just do everything online all the time and just email people and that would work and be fine and dandy. We realized very quickly, though, that that was not the case. In Ghana, there's a high emphasis placed on personal relationships. People needed to know who it is that they were dealing with. They wanted to see a face. They wanted to have someone to ask questions. They wanted to have somebody to work with. And that was our way of adapting our business to suit the needs of the local environment. So figuring out how your ideas should be adapted or if they should be adapted really requires you to go out and meet with who you perceive your target clients to be. Who are you trying to serve? Go out and meet those people, talk to them, ask them questions, find out what it is that they need and how they can best have that need met for them. And then looking at the kinds of solutions that we're coming up with. It'll surprise you that as complex as some of the issues faced in Africa are, the solutions to them are actually really, really simple. So particularly when you're just starting out, look for what that minimum is to help you to try and at least get started solving the problem. It's referred to in business as your minimum viable product. What's the least amount that you can do? What's the least that you can present to people to sort of get them thinking about the problem that you're trying to solve, to get them thinking about what it is that you have to offer, and then from there, modifying it, perfecting it, and then later on, if necessary, adding on to it. So that's all I have for you for now for 2013 sessions. As I said, we have 2 great events coming up in December. Over the next few months, we'll be posting details on those events. These will be in-person events, so please plan to be in Accra, Ghana for them. They're going to be a really great opportunity to learn more about Start Smart, but also about sort of how business in Ghana works and how business in Africa works, and really sort of building your networks and your skill set. As I mentioned earlier, this presentation that I did does not mirror the depth of our in-person or virtual sessions at all, so I would definitely encourage you to attend. Go back to our homepage, startsmartgh.com, click on the events tab, register for our events, look at the ones that fit best with your schedule, and please do register and come out to see us. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. If you go to our website, we will have our LinkedIn profile up very soon. You can find us on Instagram at StartSmartGH. And we also have our weekly blog, again, startsmartgh.blogspot.com, or go to our homepage and click on the blog tab. And we post weekly on that blog on business issues that we believe are of relevance. As always, we love to hear back from you, so please send an email to julianat@startsmartgh.com or to sales@startsmartgh.com. You can give us a phone call as well. And that is it, and I look forward to working with you and hearing back from you. Bye for now.